Paddy Power, sponsors of the Road to Cheltenham.
Hello everyone and welcome to a very special live edition of Road to Cheltenham from Gowran Park. This is my first time here, Ruby, and I am so excited to be here on their big day for the Thurles. Looking forward to walking the track as well.
Yeah, I hope you brought better boots than those, Lydia.
I haven't.
It's quite wet. You're going to have wet feet. It's quite wet in Gorn in January, but great track this time of year. Really testing ground. Climb all the way up to the top of the hill. 3 fences down the straight. Not such a good jump track in the summer. Gets quite quick here and gets very fast, but yeah, good race course. It'll be a great day today. Today's local crowd, a lot of people. It's always a good day at the races.
I know it looks quite quiet behind us, but it's early in the day and I've heard it gets absolutely packed and quite raucous here on Thursday.
It can do, yeah, definitely. But yeah, it's this midweek meeting that really works, and a lot of country people come racing. So great day.
I love the look of it. If you were comparing the track here at Gowran to a British track, is there one that...
Layout maybe a right-handed haydock, but obviously the undulation in the back straight, which haydock doesn't have, and again can get very soft or very good, like haydock can, but that's about the only comparison I think you could make, really.
Okay, and of course you've had some big days here, haven't you?
Yeah, lucky track for me. Yeah, Jackadam in the fog, that would have really... you'd have been really enamoured with that. No one could see anything.
I love Jack Adam though, as you know.
Yeah, he was a great horse. Invitation only. When the year I was retiring, I remember Dad training his first winner was Rock the Prince in the Teahupoo in '91 after my grandfather had died, and I rode my first winner here in Siren Song.
So quite a meaningful track for your family
then.
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, my grandmother was born just over there as well.
Gosh, really?
Yeah.
Really? Wow. Okay. Are you going to walk the course with me? I have brought 4 pairs of socks. No, is that a definite no?
She brought a quad for me to go down the ambulance road.
I can't believe it. I can't believe it. That's terrible.
I know what it's like. Trust me.
I'll have to have words about that. I'll see if I can twist his arm at the end of the show. Right. I've got to say that before we move on to talk about the staying and intermediate chasers, I've got a special surprise for you and a special guest. Whether it's a surprise, I suppose that's doubtful given that we've publicised it on social media. But I am very excited to say that we have the 10 times Cheltenham Festival winning Jack Kennedy here. He won the 2021 Gold Cup on Manila Indo. He's won most of the major races here in Ireland, and he will be joining us to discuss his key rides for the rest of the season. What are you smiling at?
Will he be the first Kerry man ever to give away anything?
What does
Cork
that mean?
men just talk and talk and talk.
Right.
Kerry men generally say quite not that much.
And what are you?
I'm from the east of the country, Kildare man.
And what does that mean?
Just talk rubbish most of the time.
I'm saying nothing. But I think Jack will have plenty to say to us, won't he?
He'll be good.
We're going to put him in between us and make sure
he's going to have to face you. Fair play to him.
I think you're going to help, aren't you?
We'll try.
I think he'll be absolutely fine. I don't know what you're worried about.
I'm not worried at all.
Okay.
It'll be entertaining.
I'm hoping in a good way. And we're back in the room, seamless this production. We're going to talk about the intermediate and staying chasers because there are a couple of important races over the weekend. We're going to start with the question, is Allaho back? And the way to frame this debate, I think, is a split screen, having a look at what Allaho achieved versus what Harmonia Maker achieved half an hour earlier in the mare's EBF chase.
Yeah, definitely. Look, you could pitch both against them because they started in the same place, they finished in the same place. Now, I do accept there was rain between Silent Approach and Allaho's races at Thurles last Sunday, so maybe he ran a slightly slower surface, but he did start, as you would have expected, at a really good gallop and had a considerable advantage, 1.2 seconds over the mares at the first fence. When they got to the third fence, not quite so far in front, back to a second, and when they got around into the fourth fence, you're going to see Silent Approach. She's just 0.6 of a seconds now in front of Allaho, so Allaho has slowed down. When they get around to the first fence in the back straight on the second circuit, though, the mare's chase has kept up its gallop. Look how far she's gotten in front of Allaho. 2.4 seconds the mare chase is now in front. Get up to the top of the hill to what should have been the fourth last fence at Thurles, and the mares are going further away from the Kinloch Bray field. Silent Approach, Harmonia Maker and Horseracing are 3.21 seconds in front of Allaho. Second last fence, Silent Approach, she jumps it, and they're increasing their advantage, I think, from doing this offhand yesterday. They're up to 4.2 2-3 seconds. You would have thought when they got to the top of the hill, Allaho might have closed down on the mares in front. When they got down to the last fence, he's only crossing the road. Her moneymaker's about to take off. She's built her advantage to 4.15, I think it was. If I'd done my homework, I would know that, yes, exactly. And what's interesting is she's able to maintain that exact distance all the way to the line. Now, you can argue she's been ridden out as Jack tries to beat her Touriere. Paul only has to come home in front in the Kinloch Bray, but he ended up well behind her. And what was interesting in that fact, Lydia, when we looked it up, when he won the race in 2021 and 2020, he was faster than the mare's chase.
Yeah, much faster, and came home stronger as well. I think it says to me that rather than him galloping his opponents into the ground, that was a non-event. I was disappointed that he was. I know he wasn't asked. I take that point, and I know it rained. I also take that point, but that he didn't come home stronger, full of more potential energy at the end. Having got that gallop.
I felt the same watching it, and I thought the same before the race. He didn't blow me away into King George, and I know he carried more weight. You can add that one in, but he was able to carry more weight in 21 or 22 and 21 when he won this race. Like, he blew Fakir Dudari away, beat him by over 2. They were over 2 seconds faster than the mares that year. Even when he beat Ellie May, they were faster than the mare's chase. It was the first year he was slower. Now, there was mares. Ellie May in 2020 was faster than Real Steel, so the mares have beaten the geldings in that race before. Denario de Zobo was quicker than Toy Phil in 2018, but a lot of the times the geldings were quicker. And if you go all the way back to 2015, Don Cossack was over 10 seconds faster than Vroom Vroom Mag.
Yeah, all the signs are negative. Let's have a look at them in detail. First of all, we should say that 2 of his opponents, and one key one, didn't turn up. Capodanno runs this weekend, but Envoi Allen was coughing, so he was withdrawn.
Yeah, they were withdrawn down to 4 runners, but he still had, when you looked at it, you thought, well, French Dynamite definitely appreciated with a couple of runs that he had this season. Looked like he was on the way back, and you had Statler, who had a point to prove, really. And I suppose Statler kind of blew me away after, but when you look at the speed of the race, it adds up as to why Statler got so close. He was able to travel in the race. Allaho went left at the first, nothing unusual about that. French Dynamite at the second gets quite high under Dara O'Keefe and doesn't land galloping. Now, Mouse Morris was standing behind me watching this race. He felt it was the change in ground that was hindering French Dynamite. Third fence, first time that Danny Mullins wasn't happy. Changed his hands on landing and appreciated. I wasn't expecting to see that. French Dynamite made a mistake on the first fence in the second circuit, and when I get to the fourth last fence, appreciated his beat up a stick. To me, he hasn't run. Now, maybe that's the effects of 2 brilliant runs, John Durkin and the Savills, where he didn't stay. French Dynamite and himself were well beaten at the third last. Statler is the opposition to Allaho. I couldn't foresee that beforehand. It was the pace in the middle of the race that allowed Statler to travel, and from here home I was expecting Allaho to beat Statler a country mile. He does beat him. Some people will say, yeah, it's good enough for me, or good enough for them. It wasn't good enough for me, and look, he's been a wonderful horse. He's a dual Ryanair winner. He's won a Clonmel Oil at Kinloch Bray this season, but I think he has to be a good bit better than this to win another Ryanair.
We were negative about him going into this race in terms of his sort of long-term potential. When you have a horse of that much ability, age and an ailment, he had that serious spleen injury, can take the edge off slightly, and still you have a horse of ability. I think the thing that I'm quibbling with is 2-1, 5-2 for the Ryanair. That's based on the old Allaho, not the current Allaho, to my mind.
I would think so as well. Look, you'd love to see him. That's what makes jump racing so exciting. You get to see them time and time again. He's done great to come back and win the 2 races he's won, but can he get back to the very top? Maybe, but not at the for me, not at the price he is.
No. Well, we can have a quick look at how he fared in 2022, I think, and 2021 in this same race, the race known as Kinloch Bray, that celebrated chaser of Anne, Duchess of Westminster's. We're moving straight on because you jumped ahead because you'd already talked about that, hadn't you?
Yeah, I thought we were. No, we had the little mic breakdown in the beginning.
Yes.
We're tight on time today, so.
Right, OK. Right.
This is a live show.
And you're directing.
And there's an interesting fact. You're on about, Kinloch Bray. You're on about restricting the number of runners a trainer can have in a race. When the Kinloch Bray was introduced, it was restricted to horses trained in Munster.
Was it really?
Yeah, so that the Drapers and Dan Moore couldn't have a runner in it.
Oh, my goodness. Wow. You learn something new every day. Should just mention that French Dynamite, I agree the point about the ground. Lost a couple of shoes and broke a blood vessel as well. I also agree the point about Statler. He's a marathon chaser. It just says about the pace that they were going, the fact he was able to get into it.
Did it possibly throw him into another runner for the cross country?
Possibly.
And maybe a Grand National?
Yeah.
Maybe. He definitely showed some sort of spark.
And what does it say about appreciate it?
He just never ran. He never turned up. But when you look for a reason as to why did he had a hard race in his first start. He split fast or slow and gallop in the Champ, which was a career best as a chaser. Then possibly didn't stay in the Savills chase. Did he just show the effects of that? That to me is the most likely answer.
So you think he was flat? It's not that he needs headgear or anything like that?
No, he never went. Headgear for horses that throw a race away. He was never going.
And you'll remember also, and again, this is only thin evidence so far, that we were talking about where they all raced in the Savills chase, and appreciate it was one of the horses that was racing wide, and we were wondering whether it might be an advantage.
Yeah, and Grel Capadonna on Saturday, so that evidence will be tested further.
Yeah, we need more evidence to see that to be sure, but just certainly worth bearing in mind. Envoi Allen, are we likely to see him before Cheltenham? The last twice he's gone straight from Christmas to Cheltenham, and it really worked obviously when winning the Ryanair last season.
I wouldn't have thought so. The only option would be the Red Mills chase back here in February. The Webster Cup is now after Cheltenham, and I couldn't see Henry travelling him, so I would think unlikely.
And as I mentioned, Capadonna runs that weekend. Let's have a look at the Ryanair betting, shall we, as things stand. And these are Paddy Power odds. So Allaho is 5-2, Branbridge is 4-1, Envoi Allen 6-1, Stage Star 7s. John Bond's still in that betting. He runs in the rescheduled Clarence House, but that is how things stand.
I forgot the obvious race for Envoi Allen, which is the Ascot chase, but I couldn't see Henry travelling him.
Well, you would think not. I was assuming that he'd be staying in Ireland,
me
but
too.
there is that possibility. The horse we're going to talk about next is possible for the Ascot chase, provided the ground stays soft. We had L'Empresse, who unseated Charlie Deutsch when lying in second in the 2022 King George, having won the previous season's Brown Advisory. We hadn't seen him since that unfortunate incident. He bounced back in the Fleur de Lis chase at Lingfield on Sunday, beating Protectorat.
Yeah, and I thought it was a decent performance. This is him obviously at Cheltenham when he beat a Hoy Senior in the Brown Advisory. I thought it was a good performance on Sunday. I thought he took on a race fit horse in Protectorat, albeit Protectorat had run so poorly the last time we saw him, but he's a good yardstick, Protectorat. Good to see L'Empresse back. I think he put himself into the Gold Cup picture, but a horse with such a long layoff. He had a good run at Lingfield. I believe Ascot is in the mix for him.
That's
that
right.
Ascot chase.
Yeah, I checked with Venetia
and then
Williams.
go on to Cheltenham. You just wonder the dreaded bounce that no one is ever able to explain. Does he have enough of time from Lingfield to recover after being off for so long to take another race and then recover again to run at Cheltenham? Look, Venetia knows exactly what she's doing, but that would be a worry for me.
He was a little rusty in the early stages, didn't you think, in terms of his jumping?
Yeah, maybe he was. And look, I wouldn't be dead against giving him a little run over 2 miles maybe. If you want to open his pipes, probably not a race for me. A game spirit. I think that'd be an easier race if you want to sharpen his jumping.
Okay. There's some great scenes in the Winners' Enclosure at Lingfield afterwards with Andy Edwards, his owner. In fact, he doesn't call himself owner, does he? He calls him the privileged guardian of L'Empresse. He's been so fundamental to nursing this horse back from a couple of injuries. So
most guardians get an allowance to look after something.
It's the other way around.
It's the other way around with a racehorse.
We should mention Protectorat, because he went with a zest and a verve that I hadn't seen from him this season, even though he was beaten.
He was, and what you had too, though, I don't know where they ever out of form, but they're definitely bang in form, the Skeleton horses. It was the weekend before that all those winners, and maybe that came out in Protectorat.
I spoke to Dan Skelton this morning. The plan is the Denman Chase at Newbury in mid-February. That means he'd probably take on Shishkin. And then he's got the option of either the Gold Cup, in which he's finished 3rd and 5th, respectively, in the last 2 renewals, or the Ryanair. And then, of course, there's Aintree beyond that. Dan Skelton is mindful that John Hales would really like to win the Gold Cup, his owner, but also that the Gold Cup had rather bottomed the horse the previous 2 seasons.
Yeah, he's a very, very good horse, Protectorat, but to imagine him winning a Gold Cup, you would need to see it going wrong for a couple of horses.
Whereas in the Ryanair, in my view, he's right in the mix, and he's 33-1 currently, admittedly in non-run and no bet books. I'm tempted. No, go on, I'll do it. Go on, I'll do it. Yeah, because
and then the rain dance to go with it.
A lot of things have to go right. If he needs to be beaten, I think, outstayed by Shishkin in the Denman, and John Hales has to agree that the Ryanair is the best target. But he has got, I would argue, probably the best form this season, or at least equal best going into the Ryanair.
And he's a very talented horse. Yeah. When he is right.
Yeah. Okay. All right, go on then. I'll take on your 2 in the Ryanair. How are you feeling about your Envoi?
I have one live one. I have one live one.
Yeah. A proper live one there, and much, much shorter in the betting than when you put him up.
Yeah, but thank God these are fictional bets, because I wouldn't be getting my money back and appreciate it.
Now, there was another important race as well on Sunday at Linkfield, and this involved the Novice Chasers. It was the rescheduled Lightning Novice Chase, and it was won by JPR1, beating Matata. There was carnage at the first fence. There was,
but it was good to see JPR1 back. I loved the way he travelled. Thought he jumped really well. Obviously, his runs at Sandown and Cheltenham had been marred by errors last fence and second last. Jumped really well, travelled with great gusto. Thought the runner-up looked maybe at a bit of stiffer track, like it might have got to him, but he's back going the right direction, JPR1.
Definitely, and he made a chance-ending mistake 2 out in the Henry VIII. It wasn't his fault, really. He just got his legs in a muddle when he would have won at Cheltenham.
But you saw a lot of horses make that mistake at the second last in Sandown. Sharp off the bend comes quick, fence even comes quick off the bend, and look, the last in Cheltenham, those things happen. But look, he's a talented horse, and Yarka looks like Marine Nationals. What else? Definitely be going there with him.
Well, he seems possibly to be Britain's best hope. I mean, I wouldn't try out Matata, because I thought Matata, when he was beaten by Liberty Hunter, trying to give him a chunk of weight on New Year's Day, I thought he jumped much better at Cheltenham than he did at Linkfield.
Yeah, he did, yeah. It's just another step up, isn't it, for all those horses.
De Jello as well, he was taken out by Matata jumping left at the first. We just don't know about him.
Nope. Go again.
And Master Chewy, who isn't the most confident jumper at the best of times. He was just put off his stride by that, wasn't he?
Yeah, and he's a careful enough jumper, and he's been busy, Master Chewy.
Okay.
He's been busy.
Right. We've rather jumped ahead to the novices, but let's end this section by having a look at the Cheltenham Gold Cup betting before we usher Jack in to join us. Galloping de Chambre is still the even money favourite heading towards the Irish Gold Cup, and there is Gerri Colombe at 9-1, and we'll be hearing more about him in a moment.
From Cork to York, Sandown to Leopardstown, showing every Irish card, plus Britain's finest wherever you are. On mobile, online and TV, and now in dramatic HD. With exclusive previews and features, as well as live racing from 61 courses. Covered by expert names in punditry.
And of course, there's me.
Welcome to the home of British and Irish racing.
Racing TV members won't miss a second of the action on racingtv.com with dedicated live streams from every racecourse with Racing TV Extra. Missed a race? Every replay can be found on racingtv.com alongside an unrivaled archive of interviews and features. You can even register for your next free race day through the Racing TV Club, including the weekend ticket. Make the most of your Racing TV membership on racingtv.com today.
As promised, here is Jack Kennedy. Jack, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Yeah, good to be with you, Lydia. Yeah, thanks for having me.
And are you going to be like Ruby said, or like I said? I mean, Ruby just giving you some stick there. I know you heard it. So saying you're not going to say anything.
I probably wouldn't be known to say a whole pile, really. But yeah, we'll see how we get on.
I have to betray all his countymen, Lydia, if he gives anything away.
I'm going to try and squeeze it out of you during the course of the show. But seriously, thank you very much for joining us. You must be really pleased with how the season has gone. I mean, you've been plagued by injuries so many times, but to have 97 winners at this point, you must be so happy with it.
Yeah, delighted. Touch wood, yeah, long way it lasts, but great. Yeah, it's my best season so far. Gordon's horses have been flying all year. Maybe a couple of quiet weeks, the last couple of weeks, but they seem to be back firing again, so long may it continue. Yeah. And
it's not just quantity, it's quality as well, because a measure of your prize money won as well tells you that.
Yeah, a lot of quality is been building up a nice team of quality horses over the last couple of years, so it seems to be going from strength to strength, so hopefully it keeps going that way.
Now here's my tactic for bettering Jack. What would you say are Jack's strengths, Ruby?
What's Jack's weakness, Lydia?
I want to know his strengths first, please, Ruby.
If you can find a weakness, then you know he has all the strengths.
Right, okay. You're a big fan, aren't you?
I am, yeah. There's no weakness.
Yeah, okay. That's great to hear, isn't it?
Yeah,
there we
nice
go.
To hear.
Right then, okay. So let's start talking about the horses that Jack is most closely associated. And the one to start with is most obviously Gerri Colombe. We're going to start by having a look at what he achieved last season. Second in the Brown Advisory behind the real Whacker. Obviously, Davey was riding that day. What do you make of this? Jordan Gatenford was riding that day, apologies.
Yeah. I suppose you'd have been happy with him. He jumped well and travelled well for the first circuit, maybe missed the second last with a circuit to go. Just looked to me maybe down the back the last time when they upped the tempo a little bit, that probably just got caught out a little bit jumping. He was slow away from fences, but it kind of took him till he got over the last to really get into top gear. It was obviously just touched off, but I thought it was a very good ride from the front from Sam Twist and Davis as well. Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with his will, is there? He really tries.
No, he tries. He gives you everything, but yeah, it just takes him a while to get into top gear. Yeah.
We've been talking about what you were saying about him sort of landing quite statically and being comparatively quite slowly to get back into stride. We've been talking about that all season. We've also got some race IQ data to be able to show you that compares it. And there you can see that the real whacker is better in all areas in terms of the average speed lost at his fences, the recovery time getting back into stride, and also the cumulative lengths gained.
There's nothing wrong with Gerri Colombe's attitude, but from riding him, and you've ridden him since, obviously at Down Royal and again at Leopardstown, would cheek pieces help him to the fence and away, sharpen him?
Yeah, I don't know. Don't think there's any issue on the takeoff side of the fence. I think it could be just through the air, and landing is just a fraction slower than other horses. He travelled very well in Leopardstown. I was very happy with the way he travelled, but again, just from the back of the third last across to the second last, I was just trying to get him into top gear, and Galloping the Champs just took off when we turned into the straight. So I thought there was no excuse really in Leopardstown, but probably wasn't his best running either. I could see him getting closer to Galloping the Champs, but it's probably hard to see him reversing it as well at the same time.
Yeah, okay. Well, here is the Savills Chase, and I think 3 Out particularly illustrates the difference in getting away from fences between Galloping de Champs and Gerri Colombe there.
Yeah, exactly. Probably lost a length probably there, and I'm just trying to get him going. Probably a bit slow at the second last as well. I thought then there was a long enough run to the last. I thought I had plenty of time to get into full flow, but just when I started picking up, Galloping the Champs picked up a good bit more. But he probably didn't gallop out to the line the way I thought he should either. So I think I could see him getting a bit closer to him next time, but hard to see him reversing it, like I said.
Is there anything about where they raced on the track? I mean, you steered quite a central line. Paul was wider on Galloping de Champs. Some of the horses that seemed to outrun themselves also were wider. Is there anything to that in your view? Yeah,
maybe the ground was a bit better out there. I think it was the first or second fence. I was outside Paul and just jumped into him a little bit. My lad was going a fraction left, so I decided to switch inside him just so we weren't colliding in the air. But yeah, maybe the ground probably was slightly better out wider. Yeah.
No, that's good.
Okay, all right. Let's move on to some other key rides. Are we likely to see him at the Dublin Racing Festival, Gerri Colombe, in the Irish Gold Cup?
I'm not sure. I leave that to Gorn.
Fine.
I turn up and ride them.
Right, I won't ask you about targets from then on. Right, okay. You've got an interesting little conundrum, potentially, for the Paddy Powers Stayers Hurdle. Let's start by Teahupoo. You twice won the Hatton's Grace on, and we can have a look at his third in the Stayers Hurdle last year under Davy Russell. Briefly promoted to second, slapped back down to third again.
Yeah, he wasn't beaten far, just like you see there now. He just had to switch inside there. Made a little mistake at the second last and got brought left at the last. I think that could have been the difference between him being bang there. I think he's a better horse this year, to be honest. He's strengthened up. Obviously, he's a year older. He's going to be improving, but I'd like the way he's improved from last year to this year. Yeah.
He was comparatively young horse there, wasn't he?
He was. Yeah. He's only after turning 7, so you'd imagine this year could be his best year, hopefully.
This is where he and Ampere pass his ambitions, having beaten Honeysuckle in the same race last year.
Yeah, I thought this was a better performance than the one the year before. Like I said, I think he's after improving an awful lot this year and strengthening up. So yeah, I'll probably have a difficult decision on my hands, but yeah.
Yes.
He showed a good enough turn of foot there against the Imperial Pass. He's not slow either, is he?
He's not slow, but he probably could maybe just get caught flat-footed sometimes, but when he gets into full flight, he's not slow enough.
What about ground then?
Probably does prefer it on the easy side, but I don't think he's as ground dependent as what people think
As
he
his
is.
form book suggests.
Yeah, I don't know, just from riding him, I don't know as he is as dependent as people think.
Gordon's always argued the same thing, actually, hasn't he? He's always
Yeah,
felt that.
yeah. He does prefer it. It does prefer it softer, but I don't think it's the be all and end all either.
Okay. The choice is between Teahupoo and Irish Point in the same Rob Core colours, and he won the Christmas hurdle at Leopardstown over 3 miles, but it was a crawl.
Yeah, he won over 3 miles, but I suppose we didn't really find out. Does he stay? Will he stay in a true run 3 mile race? I think he would, but I suppose we're yet to find out. He probably seems to have a lot of class over that trip. Just wonder if it got into a real battle. I think Teahupoo's will to win is hard to beat. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
He's a bit more resolute, Teahupoo.
Yeah, he is. He's a tough horse. He gives you everything. So yeah, I don't know. I won't be making a decision till closer to the time, but it'll certainly be a tough one anyway. Yeah.
I suppose the positive thing was how he settled there.
Yeah, he's you could put him anywhere in a race. He's very simple to ride. Jumps great, relaxes, but carries you at the same time. So. Yeah, he's a pleasure to ride.
Okay, well, I look forward to which way you jump in that particular decision. Right, let's
Don't
move.
jump till Tuesday morning about 10 o'clock, even 12 o'clock if I was you.
Yeah.
Funny enough, we've got a tweeter asking about that later on, so we'll come to that in a moment. But we're going to move on to the novice chasers because Gordon's got a strong hand here. And we'll start with Founder 50, who won the Racing Post Novice Chase over Christmas.
Yeah, funny old sort of a race here, and he's a horse with a big engine, but has a few little quirks, but he's definitely grown up a lot since last year.
Has he grown up a lot since Christmas?
Well, I wasn't much help to him there. Now he can be keen. My hands thrown down his neck trying to keep him settled. So I'd forgive him that one. He wasn't getting much assistance of what way to go off me.
Goes right though.
He does, but when Patrick switched inside me going to 4 out, he straightened out an awful lot. I think when Patrick was out wide, he was tending to want to jump out to fast
him, looking for company.
Yeah.
And is 2 miles the best trip for him?
I think so. Yeah, I think a strong run 2 miles. He stays 2.5, but he's a very strong stayer. I'd say over a strong run 2 miles.
Something towing you along and be an ideal.
Yeah, exactly. I think if he was to get a lead, he'd jump straight. He jumped straight, and I know we were going right-handed in the Drinmore, but it got a lead in the Drinmore, and he was as straight as a gun barrel. Yeah, I think I wouldn't be worried about him jumping right in Leopardstown, to be honest.
Okay, let's move on to Imagine, shall we? Who won the Craddockstown, and that form has been franked, but he was disappointing last time we saw him. Have you referred to this in passing? Were Gordon's horses a little bit flat at this point?
A lot of them were probably running a bit flat, yeah. He didn't even jump the way he jumped on his previous run, and I suppose you'd imagine he'd probably jump and travel better over further, but he didn't. So I don't think it was a true running from him. I'd say he was maybe just under a little bit of a cloud. So yeah, I'd draw a line through that, to be honest. He seems to be one to look forward to. Yeah.
The plan had been over Christmas to go for the Courteau Star, but Ile Francais turned up, so that was wisely ducked.
Yeah, it was. So Yeah, I don't know what Gordon's plans are with him really, but I'd be hoping I'd be on his back wherever he goes anyway.
Would 3 mile suit though?
Yeah, I know he won over 2 miles, but I think 2.5, 3 miles. Yeah, he stays. So I know it probably didn't look that way the last day, but I'd forgive him that.
Okay, let's move on to her monumaker. We've already mentioned her in passing, and she beat Horturier and Silent Approach last weekend. Talk us through this.
Yeah, very happy with her. For whatever reason, when I rode her in Cork, she was jumping violently left at a couple of fences. Got a lead on her the other day, and she jumped straight, settled well, and yeah, done everything we would have been expecting her to do, but she hadn't done on her previous runs yet.
So when you look at the best mares, say Dino Blue sets the standard, you've Riviera de Tel, Allegory de Vassi, how far behind the open mares are the novices, or are they getting close to them?
It's hard to tell really. I'd say they're probably a bit behind, but I was trying and bridge the gap, and yeah.
Let's have a look at that Cork performance. This is when, as Jack was saying, that she was jumping left. It was getting a lead that made the difference to her, you think?
I think so, because just this fence here, she nearly done a U-turn at it, and Danny jumped up inside me, and she straightened out down the back then with a bit of company. So yeah, I think getting the lead was the difference. Yeah.
Too much of a test of stamina at Limerick, maybe?
Yeah, maybe. Now she's always loved heavy ground, and she's kind of a horse that can gallop other horses into the ground. But yeah, probably just too much of a test. Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to the real staying novice chasers, and we'll start with 3-Card Bragg, who was second to Monty's Star. The two of them had it between them. What do you make of 3-Card Bragg?
Disappointing. Didn't jump well enough. Probably be better in a stronger run race, getting a lead as well. But yeah, I don't know. He just didn't seem too much of a spark about him. He was having a good look at his fences and just slow at them. So be hoping to see a bit of improvement in the jumping department from him.
Would you see him maybe as an Irish national horse, that kind of horse?
Yeah, I'd maybe something like that. Something like that. Yeah, it's hard to see him really being
Grade 1 horse.
Yeah,
I'd agree.
Yeah.
Would he be in the mix for the National Hunt Chase, potentially going up?
Not if he's his way.
Pardon?
Not if he has his way. You can't ride him.
Yeah, exactly. But something like that. Yeah, good test of stamina. Yeah.
Okay, let's have a look at Favori de Champs, shall we? This horse won a race that rather fell apart behind him, and then he ran in the Neville's Hotel. What did you make of this performance?
I was very impressed with him this day. I know Florian Porter probably sort of threw the race away really. But I'd say if Florian Porter had done everything right, I still think my lad would have beat him. Bit disappointed with him in Leopardstown after them, but I didn't get the same feel off him. He didn't carry me as well, and just probably everything was kind of an effort to him. So I'd forgive him that run as well. Maybe he could have been coming under his little cloud as well at that stage.
Is there any chance he wants to go right-handed, not left-handed?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, I'm just thinking because didn't he underperform at Cheltenham in the Albert Bartlett as well last season?
Yeah. I wouldn't have thought from riding him that he had any preference of which way to go. Yeah, so he's normally a very straightforward horse. Yeah.
And tell us about Salvador Ziggy as well, because he has the right profile. I know you won't want to hear this for the National Hunt Chase.
Yeah, he does. He's back in. Yeah, he had a break after he went to America, so he's back in. So he's a nice horse. I'd love to be getting my leg over him, but
the ultimate, no? Not the ultimate. What's it called now?
It is the ultimate.
The ultimate,
yeah. He could go for something like that.
Oh, really?
I'd be
surprised.
This is classic, isn't it? This is the truth about the two of you. Stable jockeys trying to move horses around.
Yeah.
How is that the manipulation? Does
they're
it work?
no good to you running a race. You can't ride them. I know 3-Card Bragg. I'd be thinking, yeah, well, you definitely want to keep him for the Irish national if he was in our place.
Yeah.
Is Gordon that easy to manipulate?
No, Gordon, I don't try to have too much of an input. I leave him at it. So, yeah, no, whatever happens, we'll see how we get on anyway.
Yeah. OK, well, let's move on to talk about Riviere de Tel, shall we? She's had a couple of goes at the Cheltenham Festival in the Arkle and the Mrs Paddy Power. This was her on her day.
Yeah, she's probably one that definitely does prefer going right-handed. She jumps right. But I was impressed with her this day now. Obviously we were going right-handed. She went right over the last two and maybe one up the side the first time. But other than that, she was straight enough. Although I know going right-handed, but yeah, I was impressed with her in Fairyhouse. Yeah.
She's got back issues, hasn't she? Is that?
Yeah, she does have a couple of little niggly things, but I'll try and.
If you parked her down the inside, say at somewhere like Cheltenham, could you use the other horses to keep you straight, or does she need to find a half a yard going right to get herself off the ground?
I think she probably needs to find that half a yard. It knocked her in Cheltenham last year. She jumped into the horse outside her, and that's what took her down.
It's a killer, isn't it?
Yeah.
We've got some sad news to pass on, and that is that Halka de Talbot, who is a mare that I was really excited by, unfortunately she sustained a career-ending injury. Peter Maloney, I spoke to him yesterday. The racing manager to Kenny Alexander says that she's heading to the breeding sheds. Real shame, because she looked like a talent.
Yeah, huge loss. She was talented. She was obviously very good in Cork. But yeah, unfortunate that she's suffered an injury, but I'm sure she'll show some nice foals. She's a fine big mare, so yeah, there'll be hopefully some foals look forward to. Yeah.
Absolutely. Let's move on to the juvenile, shall we, and have a look at the juvenile that was run at Christmas. Jack was on board Mighty Bandit, and it was Calaconte, the stable companion, who won the race under Danny Gilligan. What did you make of this race? It looked like Danny controlled it pretty much.
Yeah, he got the run of the race, although I was kind of happy the whole way until I went for my lad. I thought he probably had more gears than Calaconte, and I was confident that I'd probably quicken up out by her on the run down to the last, but just when I went for my lad there was not a whole lot there, so for whatever reason
how's he now? Has he come out of it better?
I haven't ridden him lately, to be honest, but I'd imagine he has. I got a better feel off him in Punchestown when he won than I did that day, so I'd draw a line through that as well. OK, but Calaconte maintains a high standard. Are we therefore meant to take it the Mighty Bandit you feel is better than her? Yeah, I'd have a hard decision now when they come against each other again. I still wouldn't know what way to go, really, to be honest. Calaconte is obviously very good, but I think Mighty Bandit has lots of potential, yeah. OK. We've also got the cross-country chase to think about as well, with Delta Work and Galvin, two veterans of the discipline in the mix, but also Conflated, who might be heading into cross-country territory for the first time at the festival. That offers quite an interesting choice between the three of them. Does, yeah. Delta Work is one of my old favourites, but I'm sure if there's someone of them that seem a better option, I'll be trying to be on them. But
what about Conflated? I know you go both directions in the cross country, but he does head off left, whereas the other two don't seem to have a preference. No, and I suppose we probably won't find out until he goes and does it, but he's been schooling very well over cross-country fences, so yeah, I don't think there'll be any issue with the jumping, just bar if he does. Of course, the right-handed loop is a long way. He's a last mile and a quarter. He's back to the left, so yeah, be all right. So, yeah, we'll see. It'll be another one that'll be decided closer to the time. Yeah, I'm a sentimentalist. It'd be so hard to get off Delta Work after all the big races that he must be so close to your heart. It would, yeah, and he loves it. He loves it around there as well. It'll be hard. He would be a hard one to get off. But needs maybe, must. Yeah, it's harder watching the other ones win. Yeah, exactly. Jockeys. Yeah. Right, let's move on to the novice hurdlers, shall we? First of all, let's take a look at the entries, because they were out this week for the 3 Grade 1 novice hurdles and also for the juvenile, the Triumph hurdle, and
It was the lowest ever entry for the Triumph Hurdle at 44. Up to the Supreme from its lowest ever at 63. Better figures for the Bear in Bingham, that's formerly the Ballymore, and the Albert Bartlett. You can still see that Irish entries are making up more than half of every field in all four, and those days, Ruby, on the left-hand side in the early noughties of 3-figure entries, those days are gone.
Those days are well and truly gone, but that's a much bigger issue, Lydia. It goes back to foal supply,
Absolutely.
horses, etc. That's not just a couple of yards dominating. That's a much bigger issue and not a platform we have to discuss here, I'm afraid, because we do not have the time.
We do not have the time. Should just tell you a key news line. Jericho de Repine is only in the Supreme, hasn't been given a Ballymore option. He's one of 5 in the Supreme for JP McManus, and it would seem that no flies on him potentially emerging as the #1 for the Dublin Racing Festival from that camp for Edward O'Grady.
It would look that way.
It would, right. OK, we've got some questions from you out there. Thank you very much. You responded to our Ask Jack request, and there's a couple of questions to put Jack on the spot. The first one comes from Tom Forey. He is rather putting you on the spot right here, right now. Right here, right now. If you had to pick your rides of the novice hurdlers, what would you be riding?
I would imagine Firefox in the Supreme, disappointing the last day as well, but again, I don't think the horses were running to form. I'd like to see Caldwell Potter in the Ballymore, or I think it's his name now.
Not far wrong, we'll forgive you that.
Yeah. And I'd imagine Croke Park maybe in the Albert Park.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And brighter days ahead in the mares.
Yeah.
OK, well, we're going to gallop happily through all of those. But first of all, another question. This is from Liam D, and he wants to know the mechanics more. How far in advance do you have to make your calls when you've got a choice? Can you change your mind on the day? If it lashes down, are you able to switch, and do you have fear of missing out?
Normally you'd have your initial feeling, which is I like to go with most of the time. But yeah, if there's some couple of little changes closer to the time, obviously you might change your mind. But I like to go what I think initially. But yeah, I think if you change your mind from what you think at the start, and the one that you wanted to go with at the start comes and beats you, it's worse than just sticking with the one you think.
And even just from that, I do big time, but even from that question, in an ideal world, yes, you would love to decide an hour before the race, it's last rain, the one I'm riding wants go ground, but unless they're non-runners, you can't switch after declarations.
Unless they're non-runners is the key point there, isn't it?
But at Cheltenham, most of them wouldn't be, so you don't actually get to change in that 48-hour period, which can be annoying from a jockey's point of view. I know punters do 48-hour declarations, but when you're trying to decide the right one to ride, you can know on Tuesday afternoon you're riding the wrong one Thursday.
Yeah, frustrating when the weather intervenes and everything looks very different.
You can change what horse you're going to bet, but unfortunately he can't change what horse he's going to ride. Yeah.
I hope that answers your question, Liam D. Right, let's gallop through the novice hurdlers we're going to talk about. We'll start with Caldwell Potter, who I thought was tremendously impressive in ground that ended up being pretty testing to beat Predator's Gold here. Yeah,
I see when I seen all the rain, I've thought he'd be hard to beat, to be honest. But I just think maybe on nicer ground, maybe he might be better going up and trip. Obviously very testing conditions that day, and he just kind of galloped him into the ground really. But yeah, like I said, I just think on nicer ground he could be better going up and trip.
Yeah, I think you've answered everyone's questions. I think we all pretty much thought the same, bearing Bingham for him. But then if you're going Firefox in the first, it means you're overlooking Far and Glory.
Yeah. I suppose it's a good position to be in, to have plenty to choose from. But Far and Glory obviously was very good in the Royal Bond.
Should we take a look at that?
Yeah.
The Far and Glory in the Royal Bond, we can have a look at him winning that.
Got himself out of a pocket too here, didn't he?
Yeah. Picked up well. Probably didn't think he would pick up as well as he did. I thought he was more of a staying galloping horse really, but yeah, picked up well and made a bit of a mistake at the last and picked up again. So yeah, it was a good performance.
And that's King of Kingsfield that he's galloping past.
Probably at the time didn't think it was probably much of a race, but King of Kingsfield came out and was good in his maiden hurdle then after in Leopardstown, but back to Far and Gloria, he looked to be the winner in entry and just caught the top of the hurdle and came down. It was unfortunate, but I suppose all horses make mistakes. He'll learn from it.
Yes.
Has he been okay since?
He has, yeah. He was a bit sore afterwards, but he's back 100% again now, yeah.
Change of tactics. King of Kingsfield, you made it on him in Ace when Slade Steele beat him. He was prominent without making it in the Royal Bond, but you got a lead in Leopardstown.
Yeah.
Big difference.
Look at that, shall we? King of Kingsfield.
Yeah, massive difference. Suppose riding him in maiden hurdles, we thought so much of him. We were probably riding him too handy, just keeping things simple, and it wasn't really working. But then in the Royal Bond, Jordan rode him a lot more conservatively and just kind of rode him behind the leaders in the maiden hurdle in Leopardstown, and it worked. He hit the line very hard, a lot harder than I would have expected him to, really, to be honest. So yeah, that looks to be the key to him, and hopefully it's onwards and upwards from here with him. Yeah.
Gorn was mentioning not just the change of tactics, but also the ground. This was St Stephen's Day, so the one day at Leopardstown where the ground was actually good to soft rather than heavy. Yeah,
he probably does prefer a bit of nicer ground. So yeah, them two things seem to have brought out plenty of improvement in him. Yeah.
Okay, well, let's have a look at your number one, Supreme Wise. Revealing, I thought that. This is Firefox. Let's have a look at him first off, winning his maiden at Ferryhouse.
Yeah, just steadily run race. I made it on him. Picked up very well down to the second last and quickened away and done it well. Showed a good turn of foot, but thought he stays as well. I don't think he didn't stay in Naas. I just don't think it was the real Firefox that showed up that day. But
5 days put him over the edge. The weight.
No, I don't know. Probably.
Did you think he'd win here?
No. Just didn't get the same. Early on, I was happy, but didn't get the same feel off him as the way he picked up in Ferryhouse. I kind of had to. It was nearly an effort to get out of the pocket I was in, even though it wasn't much of a pocket after the third last in Naas, and it just fizzled out. But I don't think it was a case of him not staying, but. I think the Supreme would suit. He kind of has a mixture of stamina and gears. So
good cruising speed.
Yeah, and slick jumper as well. So.
And would you be happy going straight there off this run, or are we likely to see him in between?
Obviously leave that to Gordon as well, but
from your perspective, how do you feel about that?
I'd be happy enough with him just going straight there, to be honest. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Those are our thoughts about the novice hurdles. We'll pick up in a moment after this ad break.
From Gold Cups to Grand Nationals and Derbies to Desert Orchid. The latest big races to the famous clashes of the past. Racing TV's YouTube channel has it all, with thousands of great videos to be enjoyed right now. Watch memorable feature shows from Racing TV's back catalogue again. Catch up on episodes of popular shows that you might have missed when shown on the channel. Enjoy insight and tips, or just sit back and enjoy watching thrilling replays of some of your favourite races from the last 20 years. Simply head to YouTube, search for Racing TV and hit subscribe. With Racing TV on YouTube, you'll never be far away from watching another great race.
So Jack Kennedy is still with us, and we're going to continue our trawl through the novice hurdlers. We're going to move on to Jigoro, and this is his defeat of Butcher Hollow by 9 lengths at Navan in December. A good performance.
Good performance, yeah. Jumped great, very straightforward. Didn't go overly quick, and picked up well between the last two and galloped all the way out to the line. I thought it was a good performance, yeah.
So, going into the Moscow Flyer, where he was beaten by Mystical Power, was that the same Gowran?
Close enough that I'd say probably would get a little bit closer again, but again, hard to see him reversing it. I was very happy with this run. I thought it was a good run, but like we've been saying, I suppose the horses probably weren't just running to their best at that time, so I could see him getting a bit closer, but at the same time I'd say that was the position he was going to finish in anyway. Yeah.
Too much authority from the winner, basically.
Yeah. It
was a bit of a whoosh as the...
No, he was good. Yeah, he picked up and quickened away well. Yeah.
I suppose you did beat the third and fourth far enough to suggest you ran nearly to form.
Yeah. I didn't think it was far off his best, but I think there could be a couple of lengths more to come out from. Yeah.
Okay. Ruby, I'm going to hand over to you for the Navan race on Saturday, where Asian Master beat Better Days Ahead, who Jack rode, and then we'll get Jack's thoughts.
Yeah, and it was fairly straightforward. Jack booked out, obviously made the running on Better Days Ahead. Thomas Costello followed him on Asian Master, and Thomas was quite keen to stay behind Jack. He races down here to the fourth hurdle. When he jumps this, Asian Master comes alive, but Thomas wasn't going to help Jack in front and Better Days Ahead, and pulls back off him. He did so again as they were turning out of the back straight on Asian Master. I'm assuming you're hoping he'll come and take you on and get into some bit of a scrap, but Thomas was wise to that, pulled him back off him, and then from the second last home it did turn into what looked like some bit of a dash. Now Asian Master quickens really well for Thomas. Costello pings the last. What about your horse? Were you disappointed? Did he run his race? Can we take more out of Asian Master?
I think he ran his race. He wants further. Like you said, Thomas wasn't helping me. I probably would have liked to have been going a couple of strides quicker, but now the ground was very testing there as well. I suppose I probably wouldn't want to have been going too hard either.
Tricky one, like.
Yeah, it's kind of hard. Yeah, it's tough to get it right, but I think my lad just wants further. It was a nice run from him, but Asian Master was very good. Quickened up well and put it to bed well, and jumped great and everything. So I was impressed with him. Yeah.
Maybe your mind games failed because Thomas Costello's at a different altitude. Let's have a look at the size of him. He's the grandson of Tom Costello, of course, Source Best Mate, One Man and Imperial Call. He's 6'4". He must be really... Is he the tallest jockey you know?
I'd say so, yeah. He was on the... We got to the races and he was weighing himself. I seen him, I think he was 10.7 or something, and I weighed myself, I was 10.7. I couldn't believe it. It was the same weight as him. Yeah.
I rode with his dad and his uncles, and they are all tall men.
Yeah. Talented?
Oh yeah, and he's great attitude. I mean, you're that size to want to do something as desperately as he does, and look, he's going to have a ride in the Supreme, I would say.
Exciting times. Let's move on to also at Navan. Next race, My Trump Card. Over to you first of all, Ruby.
Yeah, look, I was listening. He jumped terribly in Fairyhouse on his previous run. I thought he jumped better here, Jack. He pinged the first hurdle. Again, this is the third hurdle, jumped it well. Now the fourth and fifth hurdles, to me, were the only two he missed. When he gets in real deep, he's clumsy, but I liked what he did this day.
Yeah, he's a lovely horse. Good attitude. But yeah, he's a very good jumper when he's spot on or long, but sometimes when he gets in deep he can just lack a little bit of respect, but I don't think it's anything. It's not that he's a bad jumper. I think he's just a big horse and he's going to be better over a fence in time.
You could see him making more effort with a fence in front of him when he has to. Now, does he idle or is he getting tired?
I probably sent him on fairly soon now. I'd say he was probably getting a little bit tired, but was never going to get past either. I'd say he'd have pulled out another bit if the line was a bit further up, I'd say. Yeah, so
Albert Bartlett type?
I'd imagine so, yeah.
I was wondering whether he might be in a mix. When you said Croke Park earlier, I was wondering whether you might mention this guy as well.
Yeah.
Is Croke Park classier?
I think so.
You mentioned one for one owner, one for another owner. All the owners got to mention Lydia. Kerry.
Yeah.
Are you that diplomatic?
I had to throw in brighter days ahead for him. He is, of course, that diplomatic.
Magic. Right, you get to stand down for a couple of races because we're going to hear from Ruby about, first of all, Mirror's West, who won at Ferryhouse yesterday.
Yeah, got it done. The inside track, Jack was saying just earlier before we came on air how testing it was in there. He was quite keen. He was going right-handed compared to Leopardstown where he went left. I thought he jumped well, and reading Mark Walsh's quotes this morning, he thought he jumped well. No worries with that. But he does need to spit it out a bit and settle. Now, it's funny to say, how can our race course in the same venue be so different? I think this inside track at Ferryhouse is way stiffer than the outside course for whatever reason. He did quicken up nicely, pinged the second last and wins unchallenged. He was expected to do that at Christmas. He ran into King of Kingsfield, but at least he's rectified it. But I'd be saying, there's your supreme winner. I think that's ambitious.
Okay, JP's got a few, as we were just saying earlier.
I'd say Frank is plotting what caps he's going to use at that many.
How many colours cap has he got?
As many as you want, sure. Go green with the white star, then the quarters, and after that it's any colour you like. Blue,
White,
red, yellow.
Yeah, red, yellow, yeah, okay.
I've seen pink the odd time.
Isn't there a red, yellow quartered one as well? I think there is. Is there?
Oh, there could be.
Yeah, okay. High Class Hero at Thurles on Sunday.
Walking race. Watt Path made the run in. He was tracked along by easy fella Rachel Blackmore in the black cap. Paul sat third on High Class Hero, and Sequestered followed him around. And Danny went very slow in front on Watt Path. And not a whole pile happens in this race. But High Class Hero did get keen from the third hurdle to the fourth hurdle. But when he gets up to the fifth at the top of the hill, he spatted out and settled nicely enough for Paul Townend. Again, as I said, they kind of followed each other around here. Danny was going as slow as he could, trying to win a dash on Watt Path, which didn't work out for him. But when Paul does eventually, when they get around to the second last hurdle, you can see him here, he's settled. Rachel took on Danny halfway down the back on the second circuit, and when they get back into the home straight, in 2 seconds High Class Heroes jumped between them and put this race to bed. Eventually then Watt Pat gets going, but not till very late in the race. Easy fella kept at it. He flicks the last hurdle, not spectacular at it, but the speed they were going, I wouldn't mind them being a bit keen early. They were going so slow. He did switch off. He does look like an Albert Bartlett type, and Watt Pat stays on when all is said and done. But hard race to judge. A bit, not quite like Irish Point because it's a different level, but that race was run so slow it was hard to judge it as well.
But instinctively, from the Mullins team, would he be at the top of the pile for the Albert Bartlett, do you think?
Oh, don't you know, something will run in Dublin next week and blot his copybook and go from a Bearing Bingham horse to an Albert Bartlett horse.
Is that necessarily a good thing, though?
No, but things will happen. I don't know, I wouldn't be surprised if the horse that was second to Caldwell Potter at Christmas, Predator's Gold.
Yes, that's the one I was going to throw at you.
If he sticks his hand up as an Albert Bartlett horse.
Yeah, agreed. He's quite young, isn't he? Isn't he just
on
5?
He won last year's Land Rover, didn't he? Just gone 5, yeah.
Myself and Paddy actually broke him, we thought,
Myself and his brother,
yeah. Do you like him?
Well, they run a big operation, yeah.
So,
what else did you break up there?
Brighter Days Ahead, Firefox, so there's...
all the ones that got a mention earlier in the show.
Well, I was going to say, does that mean that horses tend to worm their way into your affection early if you're involved with them at that formative early stage in their lives?
Yeah, you learn a lot about them from day one, so it's probably a big help as well that Gordon sends us the horses, and I probably get to know them a lot earlier than I would be if we weren't doing that. So it's probably a help, yeah.
Good that I get to understand the inner workings. That's good. Right, we're going to move on to the novice mares. We haven't really spoken much about them this series yet, have we?
We haven't got near them.
So let's have a look at the betting and how things currently stand. Now, to be fair, this is always a market that doesn't really make much sense until much nearer the time, because there are horses coming that we probably haven't even thought about that will end up potentially even being major players in this. But Brighter Days Ahead is 7-2 favourite. Dysart Enos for Britain, amazingly, 4-1. J Degreegi 8s and Fun 10s 12-1 and upwards the rest. We've got a question first from Sean Dunn, Jack. He is a regular roadie, and he wants to know about Brighter Days Ahead, whom you have just mentioned. She was entered up in a couple of races over Christmas, he says. Didn't turn up, not entered in the Sol Arena. I noticed she's in the DRF. Has she sustained a setback, or was it the plan not to run until now?
No, she hasn't had a setback. Like I was saying earlier, I leave all that up to Gordon, but yeah, she's in the Dublin Racing Festival, and I think she'd be more than capable of taking on the boys as well. So we'll see what Gordon decides to do with her. Yeah.
Okay, that's a big endorsement. Let's have a look at her in action, shall we? That was at Down Royal. You've already nominated her at the top of the pile as far as you're concerned about the novice mares.
Yeah. Bit keen down over the first two in Down Royal, even though we were going a nice gallop. She makes a mistake here, or the next hurdle is my own fault.
Why?
Indecisive or something.
Looked to me like you committed her.
Yeah. It's
That's
probably
decision.
a bit late, I'd say, committing. But I was very impressed with the way she kind of put the race to bed. She probably didn't pull a whole lot clear, miss the last, but picked up again. I think she's still learning on the job, really. So she is a massive engine. Yeah.
Are you quite self-critical?
Would be, yeah, it would be. So I'd say I could pick something out of every race that I'd change, yeah. So.
And is that from memory, or do you actually go back and watch yourself?
I'd have a fair idea at the time. I'd say, why did I do that? But yeah, I'd go back and look at it then and have a closer look at it. So.
And how do you use that sort of mentally? Is it to sort of make yourself better? How do you shrug off and move on?
Yeah, I'd find it easy enough moving on, but yeah, just trying to get better. I'd try not to do it again, but unfortunately sometimes you do. But
do we all?
Yeah. So, but yeah, no, I'd be hard enough on myself. Yeah.
Were you similar to this or different?
Yeah, I think most successful people are. If you can't spot what you're doing wrong, it's easy to know what was done right, what people perceive to be done right, but it's what you're doing wrong that's key.
So the important thing is to be self-critical, but then not to just to dwell on it so much that it becomes detrimental.
Yeah, but if you can't be honest with yourself, who you couldn't?
Yeah, absolutely. Right. OK, let's take a look at Jatara, shall we? She's a second season novice and she took on mares at Grade 3 at Leopardstown over Christmas. This was a good performance.
Very good performance, yeah. She just seems to be stepping forward with every run, really. Jumped and travelled great. She had been a little bit keen in the past, but she's starting to settle a lot better. She was a bit more in my hands in Leopardstown than she had been in the maiden hurdle at Fairy House, but no, I like her. She seems to be improving the whole time and done it very well. Yeah,
this was against open mares and she did show a good turn of foot passing the bypass last hurdle. Would you be, no, she's Jessie's, would you be happy enough for her? You obviously don't want her taking you on in the mares novice hurdle, but 2 miles, or would you say go into the open mares at 2.5 with her?
Yeah, she would. Yeah, she would be able to take on the open mares. I'd probably like her not to be running against brighter days.
Which trip would suit her better, though? Obviously, that was 2.5.
Yeah, I think 2.5 is probably her trip, really. But yeah, we'll leave that to.
She was quite well held in the Dawn Run last year, wasn't she? But I
was.
suspect she probably didn't turn up that day.
She was quite well held behind brighter days ahead and down Royal as well. So.
Yeah.
That was definitely a career best for her.
Yeah, OK, so you think the distance is key, do you?
You're looking at the why, and to me it looks the obvious reason.
Yeah, OK. And brighter days ahead, I haven't heard your say about that horse.
Oh, I thought she was good in down Royal. I think she needed a bit more practice jumping. That's why the new course would suit her better in the mare's novice hurdle rather than, say, a Supreme. The way she jumped, be worried about her.
Would you agree?
Yeah, I just think she's probably taken a bit of time to learn, but she is learning the whole time. I wouldn't be worried about her jumping. I think she's getting better the whole time. But
she was better school as a youngster. It might have helped.
Yeah, she wasn't the most natural early on now, but she got the hang of it. So yeah, no, I whatever she turns up in.
You're right.
Yeah, I'd imagine so.
Okay.
Well, hopefully the mare's novice. Yeah.
We've got a final tweet for you. Question here. This is from Ride Out Racing. He says, with Jamie Codd announcing that he won't be riding the festival, who would you like to ride in this year's champion bumper? Obviously, it's pretty early days with the bumper horse is concerned.
Yeah, I suppose Jalen the Dairies. Very good in Leopardstown. Be him and Romeo Coolio to be between them, but again closer to time, I'd say.
Okay, yeah. Fantastic. Right, well done. You survived.
Yeah.
How was that?
It's tough, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, I don't know if I'd be making a career out of the telly after racing anyway, but yeah, no, good to be on, enjoyed it, so yeah, very good.
Well, we very much enjoyed it, and I'm sure everybody at home has learnt plenty. Best of luck this afternoon. What's your best chance, do you think?
I'd imagine, I suppose, Dunboyne has a great chance in the taste days. St. Felician has been running well in beginners, so it'd be nice for him to get his head in front.
What about the trip for him?
He's hard to put. Can't put my finger on it really as to what trip he wants. Really, he's been been kind of probably not finishing out his races great on his last couple of runs, but yeah, hopefully he can get his head in front today, maybe, hopefully.
Well, very best of luck. Jack, thank you so much for coming here and joining us and answering all of our viewers' questions and engaging with the stuff that we've been talking about. I'm really grateful to you. Thank you.
Thanks for having me. Thanks.
Well, best of luck this afternoon. And in a few moments' time, when Jack has headed off, Ruby and I will continue talking about the novice mares.
By having them, they're not running in the open races. They wouldn't run the open races anyway.
Yeah.
Like, I rode the world of them, and the only mare that I rode that was good enough to win an open race won an open race. That was Any Power. Like all Quiviga would have done was made big bucks a better price.
Yeah.
But she wouldn't have beaten it. So, you know what I mean? So instead, people got to back her in her own race.
I don't know what you were worried about. That was absolutely fine.
Oh, I'll tell you, that was just political. He's brilliant.
Were you impressed
Got
with that element as well?
it all spot on. Gave every owner, picked a horse for every owner, married them all up. Nearly talked himself into a brighter days ahead at the end and gone against Firefox and talked his way back out of that one. Very good.
You were spotting all the subtext. I'm going to have to go back and watch it over again. And
I thought you were all over that kind of stuff.
Yeah, sometimes, but not.
There was something really sparked them. I think it was Mighty Potter. One of them, I'd have to watch it again. Caldwell Potter.
I think it was Caldwell Potter.
Potter, yeah.
Yeah, and I thought it was very interesting. He went straight to Firefox for the Supreme as well. There was no hesitation there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also the shout of Croke Park as well for the Albert Bar. I think we learned plenty there.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what it's for. Right, we're going to move on with the novice mares. Just a quick word about Jade de Grugy and Judicieuse Allen before we move to Britain.
Both won at Christmas. Both are in the Solarina at the weekend. So look, we'll have a look at them next weekend or next week, hopefully, if we can fit them in. But I thought Jade de Grugy was very good at Leopardstown. I thought Judicieuse Allen got herself out of a hopeless position to win
really
at Limerick.
Well to win.
She did. So that'll be a good clash.
Yeah. Okay, so let's move back to Britain and have a look at Dysart Enos, shall we? And this is her winning at Cheltenham for Fergal O'Brien.
Yeah, down the new course, obviously. Meatloaf was in front of her down the inside. Settled okay for Paddy. Jumped the first grand. Got past the second hurdle. She is a little bit alive in her hands, but I think that's just her makeup. I don't think she's ever going to run away with him. She just is she's alive more than settles. Loses a half a length now at the next hurdle to the filly in front of her, which was Meatloaf. When they get down to the fourth hurdle, I was kind of thinking, oh, is that her? But then when they get to the fifth hurdle, that jump goes the other way. So she's well capable of doing it. Paddy spotted a good stride and she pinged it. She's going the easiest down to the second last hurdle. She's travelling really well. And then when she gets to the front, when Paddy eventually lets her go off the bend, I don't think she does any more than she has to beat the bat. She quickens nicely. Paddy never gets overly serious on her. It was a decent enough performance. She's won at the track. She has course and distance form, I suppose. I just think that when she runs there in March, it'll be a hotter contest.
It will be. I mean, that was quite a steadily run affair, but she's got plenty left, hasn't she? She's come up with
loads to like about her, yeah.
Really, really strongly. So she is exciting. I know that Fergal O'Brien is very excited about her. He's intent on winning at the festival for the first time, potentially with her. Let's talk about Queen's Gamble, who beat Casa Nomento at Taunton.
Yeah, this looked a match on paper, and even as it was in the betting, and that's the way it developed. Sam Twiston booked out on Casa Nomento. He was at the front end. Johnny Burke dropped in on Queen's Gamble in the red and white towards the back, and Johnny pretty much keeps an eye and follows Sam, not directly behind him, but keeps him a couple in front of him all the way. Now, she did land on all fours here, Queen's Gamble, hind end down, probably quicker than it should have. Again, you're thinking this is going to turn into some bit of a race when they get off the bend in Taunton. And even though Taunton looks dead level, it does run downhill here. I don't know why, because you never seem to go uphill, but there is a downhill. And if they start to fly, and these got up over 35 to 36 miles an hour here heading to the second last hurdle, the two of them. So they quicken really, really well, Queen's Gamble and Casa Nomento. Both jumped the second last reasonably well. Even Queen's Gamble had to get in a little bit. Last was fine, and Queen's Gamble pulls away to win. I'd say it was a really good performance. I think the best mare has won, and I think she'll be a better mare at a stiffer track, Queen's Gamble.
I think they're both pretty decent, aren't they?
Yeah, I think they are, but there's no reason to suggest why that form will turn. I think when they get to even a bigger, stiffer track, I think Queen's Gambit will win further.
Okay. Interesting. Last bit of evidence we have to show you is Joyeuse. She won at Taunton also, and she's got a half-sister called Epitante.
She does, and look, the horse down the inside in the blue and yellow, Tutti Quanti, I suppose, was the big danger in the market here. And the horse that came out of the race was the recent Newbury score, Into the Park, who's just to the outside of Joyeuse here. James Bone on the inside is Harry Cobden. Joyeuse, I thought this was good. I loved about this race, Lydia, is even when they go by the line, these horses. Now, Joyeuse gets close to the second last. She's quite nimble at it. And they start to pick up. I think Joyeuse was quicker than Tuto Quanti. But they went a mile to pull up these two horses. And the third is Frank de Form. They hit the line strong. Joyeuse was a bit quicker. But Tuto Quanti hasn't run since. But that's a winner waiting to happen because Harry Cobden couldn't pull it up.
Okay, you're saying that's quite a deep addition.
I just thought it was better than, it was a maiden hurdle Division 1, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's, and the third has gone in one since. I'd say that looked better than average.
Provisionally, who is topping this tree at the moment, in your view? I know we've got lots of water to come through the bridge. The Sol Arena will be pivotal this weekend as well.
Will be pivotal this weekend. I wouldn't disagree with Jack. I'd say his mare, definitely as a bumper mare, was very good. And I think jumping on the new course, we know over hurdles, it's not the be-all and end-all. I wouldn't fancy her in Supreme, but I really would fancy her in the mares.
Okay. Mentioning the weekend, there's a lot of significant races coming up. Stay Away Fay, Paul Nicholls' Novice, taking on more experienced horses in the Cotswold Chase. That's going to be interesting,
yeah,
isn't
and
it?
it's been on the cards for a while, hasn't it? That they were planning on going that way. Look, 2 runs over fences. Not that many runners, that'll all be fine, but he's taking on a better calibre of horse. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how he gets on.
And on the same card, we have got John Bon running in the rescheduled Clarence House. James Bowen riding rather than Nico de Boinville.
Oh. Nico's hardly gone to Doncaster. No, maybe he's in Cheltenham. Nico's not riding.
We've just been told this whilst we broadcast.
Yeah, look, that must be his collarbone. Thought it was fixed, maybe it's not. I know how that feels.
It's a different race now with John Bon. He hasn't got El Fabiolo up against him. Why did Willie Mullins not go over to Cheltenham? Is he ducking a big clash?
No, he's not ducking a big clash. He was going to go to Ascot for the full total prize money, but obviously the way English racing is restructured, the prize money dipped at Cheltenham, so he's going to go to the Dublin Racing Festival for the biggest pot with his best 2-miler. And everybody has their own views of what way prize money should be divvied up or what way it should be handed out, but if you're encouraging people to buy racehorses and keep all the industry going behind the sport that we all enjoy, the best horses have to earn the best prize money.
We'll talk about the Willie Mullins Show, otherwise known as the Dublin Racing Festival, a little bit more next week. But yeah, I take the point. I mean, it's rescheduled, lots of reasons for that, for a lot less. So basically he's not travelling his horse closer to Cheltenham, and he's staying at home at the same time and getting a bigger pot that he's running for.
Yeah.
Okay.
Economics.
Yeah. But how about what he's doing with the rest of his string, the likes of Onpere, Pass, Lossiemouth, Galamarceau?
Lossie goes to Cheltenham. She's in the Unibet International. Word escaped me for a minute. Capanano's in the Cotswold, and Galamarceau and Astro Diamond are both up in Doncaster. Imperial Pass goes to the Dublin Racing Festival, as do pretty much everything else.
Okay,
Does
right.
pretty much everything else.
There's going to be plenty to talk about next week with all of that. We should mention Minella Kakuna, who at Navan on Saturday qualified for the National Hunt Chase.
And you've Naas Saturday, a load of horses in that looking to qualify as well. So
Embassy Gardens, one of them.
Embassy Gardens, a couple of more in. Yeah, there's a couple more trying to qualify. Embassy, yeah, they're having his second run, of course. But yeah, we'll get around to them.
What did you make of Minella Kakuna? I thought he seemed to lose out jumping the first 2 fences in a sort of vanguard of 5 and then 4. But when he took over from the third and bossed the race, he was fine.
Yeah, it was a huge step up from Christmas, but I didn't think it looked a deep race.
Yeah, okay. So he is one to watch out for, and also the Navan race at the weekend. We have got some bad news for you, though, sadly, and that involves Thelem, the French horse we had hoped would come over from France with a huge reputation for the Paddy Power Stayers Hurdle. Unfortunately, he's lame. He's had a setback. It's not serious, but they're going to have to back off him for 2 to 3 weeks. The racing manager said that with planning to have a prep 20 days before Cheltenham, that's just not possible to be able to head for Cheltenham. They're not giving up on the project, though. They're hoping that they might be back in 2025.
Yeah, but they'll give him a prep then, is Lydia, in April for the Grand Course de Hoy in May, and That tends to be. I'd imagine they'll do the same with Ile France. They'll give him a prep before the Grand Steep in April in France as well.
That is the plan with Ile.
Tends to be the way to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you very much for your company.
Thank you. Enjoy walking the course.
Well, I'm looking forward to doing exactly that in a few moments' time. Thank you very much as well for watching. If you've been watching at an unusual time, or whether you're watching at the usual time, there's the usual fashion. If you need more, you can go to racingtv.com/Road to Cheltenham. But for us, from now, it's goodbye.
Paddy Power, sponsors of the Road to Cheltenham.
Watch live racing now on racingtv.com.